Hi, welcome back to this unit, which I am calling Sustaining a Coaching Culture. You have already gone through in the previous unit what coaching is all about and how to conduct coaching and what coaching ought to do in your organization, should do in your organization. So, in this coaching culture, Sustaining a Coaching Culture unit, you will discover what you need to do now that you've completed the lesson. So, what's next, James? Well, this is what you need to do. You need to undertake these steps to ensure that the entire organization embraces coaching as a culture. Because if coaching is not in the genetics of your organization, then you can rest assured that it is going to fizzle out pretty soon when you hit the first problem. So, in order to ensure that you go through, you smash through any obstacle that you are going to come across as you implement this coaching culture, this unit ought to help you out. So, the first thing that I have discovered in many organizations that I work with is that, and this is small businesses as well as even large businesses, you'd be surprised the number of multinational or transnational organizations do not have all the three things that are listed here, which is the vision, mission, and core values. Now, a lot of multinational companies or large organizations would have the vision and the mission. But invariably, I always discover that not everyone has the core values, which is essential if you really want to ensure that the coaching culture is in the DNA of the organization. And the core values are like the foundation before you build the organization because coaching should rest on the core values of the company. Because everything that you do in coaching ought to be referred back to the core values. And in situations and scenarios where there is a conflict, then of course it's going to be the core values that are going to decide, be the determining factor on what is right and what is wrong. So the core values is like the constitution of your organization, because that's what the organization should live and breathe and practice. And it starts right from the top all the way down to the bottom. So everybody's going to be modeling you if you are the business owner, if you're the entrepreneur, and even if you are the division director or division manager, because you have to live the core values in every area of the business. So that's step zero. If you do not have the core values, get one done. And I would tell you, I would go to the extent that if you do not have a vision and a mission yet, but get the core values done first, because then you can go back and create your vision and mission. So once you have done that, then obviously step one is before you even roll this out, you got to announce to everyone that you are rolling this out, the reason, the objectives, and what you expect the company to grow into, what the employees can expect when the coaching culture is done correctly and consistently, so that nobody feels that coaching is going to be used as a method to victimize them and either demote them or transfer them to another role or to another site or region of the country or somewhere else in the world, even because they have not done something that is required of them. So that is why the step number one, which is the announcement to everybody, is essential. So nobody feels that this is some shenanigans that the company or the business is practicing for whatever reason, that the business owner woke up on one side of the bed and decided um, at the flip of a switch that they are going to do this. So it's very important to make this announcement to everybody to make sure that they understand and answer any question that they may have. Ideally, do it in a town hall type scenario where you can address the questions live rather than through a recording. So that's ideal. Step number two, once you have done that, is make sure that you have KPIs for every staff in the organization or in your team. If you are just doing this coaching within your team, I find that a bit odd because coaching actually should be something that's practiced throughout the entire organization, not just in one team. It may not work in the long run because the boss may just shut it down when he hears the first complaint. Yeah. So step number two, get your KPIs done for every staff because your coaching is going to depend on those KPIs, whether they achieve or they don't achieve or whether they exceed. So your entire coaching is going to be based on their performance. So the only way you can determine performance is by measuring it. So step number three, once you have done that, is what I had mentioned earlier, is that you should, and this is ideal, and although I use the word ideal, it's not some sort of a utopia. It has to be done because only when you do this, when you use this MRI tool over this 50-minute session, will you be really able to drill into their mind, into their heart, into their emotions, into their soul to find out what triggers them, what holds them back, what fears they may have, what desires that they have. So when you understand this whole person, everything becomes a lot smoother and easier because you can always refer back to that. Right. So that's step number three. So make sure you do it. Take notes as you go along this 50 minutes session. And if you need to, before you do this 50-minute session or even after, it doesn't matter when you do it. It could be better if you do it before because then you would be able to understand that and refer to that while you are doing this MRI tool. And what I mean by that is the DISC free tool that I had mentioned in the lesson. So use that to give a complete picture of the person or complete the picture of the person. And it can form as a supplementary unit to this MRI tool as well. Step number four is once you have done all that, then do the monthly coaching sessions that we have gone through in the lesson plan in the earlier unit. And you should do this for all the staff that report directly to you. So do not do this for staff who do not report to you. That ought to be the responsibility of that person's, of your direct reports report. Okay, so your direct report should be conducting their own coaching sessions as well. So it should trickle down, cascade to every member of the organization. So that makes the coaching culture as well, when everybody is being coached and not just a select group, because then there could be cliques forming and people would be probably bitching about what on earth is going on. Why is one group excluded and another is kind of favored with this coaching? Yeah, so you don't want to go down that slippery slope. Step 5A is, I would say, be courageous enough to terminate someone who does not improve after a period of time. After a period of coaching and you don't see any improvement, terminate them. And what should this period of time be? In my experience, I have always given the people that I coach 6 months to a year. And I make it very clear to them that if we do not see any improvement in 6 months to a year, then we have to call it quits. That there was a mistake made. Either they chose the wrong organization or we chose the wrong person. There has been a mismatch. And this is not going to work out in the long term. So you have to be upfront and be honest about this, that this is what will transpire when somebody does not achieve their performance targets. So we are being very objective, nothing subjective at all here. So that's step 5A. Step 5B is the reverse of that. What do you do with top performers? Well, you reward them, but not via promotions. That's the wrong way to do it. A promotion is never a reward because a promotion, when you promote somebody to another role, they need to have the competencies for that. And competencies have got nothing to do with what they're expected to perform in their current role. Because the competencies in the current role and in a promoted role, a higher level role, are different. A sales rep, for example, a sales rep's role and a sales manager's role are very different. The competencies, the skills required are very different. So you do not promote a top performing rep into a sales manager. That's the wrong way to do it. You're sending the wrong message as well. Because if you just do a simple research, you can see that a lot of people who have been promoted wrongly, because they perform well in one role, they've been promoted to a higher role, they fail because they have not been given the adequate training and skills development. They don't have the skill sets for that new role. So you are setting up people for failure for sure. And I've gone through this. In the past, when I was a junior manager, I promoted someone who did not fulfill or did not have the ability to perform that higher level role adequately. So don't do that. Never promote somebody because they're doing well in another job. Reward them in other ways. You could give them monetary rewards, you could give them non-financial rewards, and that's dependent on your creativity, whatever you wish for. You could give them gifts like shopping vouchers, for example. You could give them a voucher to take their family out for dinner somewhere in some fancy restaurant. You could get your top performing staff a vacation ticket, all thrown in, or whatever else that you wish, extra holidays, unrecorded leave. It's entirely up to you, right? So use your creativity and reward them. And that this is essential. You need to reward top performance. You cannot just expect somebody to perform well and just say thank you. No, it doesn't work that way, because people need to be rewarded. And I will refer you back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because that will tell you, if you have done the 50-minute MRI tool well, you will know exactly how to reward them, because they would have revealed to you what they are looking for, what drives them. That driver is your hint on how to create the reward tool for them. Next, I would tell you that if you want to sustain a coaching culture as well, you need to read and pick up information, pick up tips about how to improve anything, any aspect of this of coaching. Okay, it could be new techniques that are coming up, that have come up, that you can implement in your organization. So you need to be a reader, and this is what Jim Rohn, the famous self-help guru, has mentioned years ago, that leaders are readers. How can you lead? How can you be a person who is developing if you are not a reader? No doubt, there are videos today that you can access and a lot of other tools that can give you information, but ultimately it is still about reading research papers, good books, articles, documents. Videos, great. They could be a synthesis, a summary of whatever has been produced, but it's still not that full document. So unless you read that book, or you read that research paper, or you read that article, you will never understand the nuances that the authors are talking about. That may be missed out in videos. And finally, I love this philosophy because this is a philosophy I have been following for years now. In the introductions, I think it was in Unit 1 or Unit 2, I had mentioned that what I have included in this training program was based on my research, was based on my experiences with other companies and extracting the best practices and including into lessons here. And it is also based on my own experiences. My experiences in the companies that I've worked in the past as an employee, and in companies that I work with today as a consultant, as a trainer, as a coach. So this philosophy I would really wish for you to also embrace, research your own experience. Don't just follow whatever I have said. Utilize whatever I have given you all, put it into practice, and see if it works or if it doesn't. If it works, absorb it. Absorb whatever is useful. If it doesn't, reject what is useless. It doesn't work in your context for whatever reason. Discontinue it. Do not put it into practice anymore. Try something else. And this is where it becomes where your creativity has to come in also. Your experimentation has to come in as well. Experiment. Do not be afraid of experimenting. Do not be afraid of failing because you can always make corrections. So nobody is going to make fun of you because you have failed or denigrate you in any way. Reframe the situation and look at it as you being brave enough to try something out. So the last thing is add what is specifically your own. That means what works, use it. What you have tried, your own ideas that work, try it. All right, guys. So this is the crux of what I would like to share with you that I hope would help you sustain a coaching culture in your organization.